Hey, hey, hey! Welcome. Now, StreamYard have done this weird thing where they're not letting me stream live. You get a little bubble in the corner of X. So nobody sees it. So hang on 2 secs. So I literally have to go into YouTube while this is all happening. And just post this link, so letting everyone know that this is live, or else you're not going to know. You're not going to know on X. So live now. Come say hello. So you've got like the version of me that's like putting this out there as well as we start. So people can actually watch it this week. I've just realized that has been happening. So I need to speak to StreamYard or see how that's integrated with X, because it's weird. It's just weird. And yeah, we're not sort of getting the viewers and the people coming to say hello. So if you're watching this, come and say hello. Hi. I think we're getting about soon, and the world is going to be a lot more happier, except for the bears, except for the perma bears that are like calling out for 20K. I don't think that's going to happen. I just don't see, like, stranger things have happened, but I don't think 20K is going to happen. And I'll explain. I've got a chart up on X at the moment that I've put up today, because I was looking at some patterns, and I was looking at like the long-term sort of pattern memory of BTC, where we've been going, what we've been doing. And, every coin, especially one that's been around for like 17 years, has a memory, because the same people trade it. Essentially it'll get a bit volatile in areas where new traders come in, new retail comes in, we get, different patterns. But overall, we get a pattern memory, because whales and those type of people always have, strategic buys, strategic sells. And that's just kind of how it works. So, okay, let me put on my glasses so I can see you. Oh, I've got Sadi. Hi. I got KJ. Hi. And I've got Robbie. Hi. So 3 people. If you were watching, please come and say hi and smash the like button, and that helps everyone see the algorithm, especially on X. It's like the hardest platform to get anything out at the moment, and for anyone to see anything that I do. So yeah, if you do see it, give me a like, put a comment below. Even if you hate me, tell me you hate me. I don't care. Whatever. It's getting it out. So, but what's to hate, actually? But yeah. So let's jump in. I'm going to bring this chart up, and we will have a look. So this is monthly Bitcoin. Obviously, we've just crossed over to the new month. We didn't have such a great candle close on the monthly, but it's not the end of the world. So we've had candle closes similar, and we've still sort of gone sideways or up. So this candle here might be this candle here, or this candle here, where it's we've still got one more wave down. So basically what we might have is just a bounce here. We could get a massive bounce here. B waves can go up to, it might go up to here, it might go up to here. But ideally, we'd like to see it test that 103K range. That's a range that hasn't been tested, that I've been going on about forever and ever and ever. And actually, that would make me very happy to kill a lot of the bears that have been telling me how wrong I am lately. And it's like, well, no, you're never wrong in trading. There's only stop losses. So, and then you just dust yourself off and off you go. So with this being said, so monthly, we're getting the 9 and the 21 is looking pretty bearish here. We don't want that to cross, obviously. But when we have had crosses on here, this, and I'm going to show you this on the Ethereum chart as well, because it's a really interesting phenomenon. And, you know, this means we are literally close to the bottom in a lot of these patterns, because we see at this point, we're very, very close to the bottom when we're crossing. You know, we had a few more months. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6 months sideways. Potentially that could happen here as well. So our 4-year cycle for Bitcoin with that October 20 up here, October 5th, I think it was, or something like that, where we hit the all-time high, was exactly to the point of that cycle. So if we're looking at that, technically around the beginning of October is the pivotal point that we're looking for, but it could happen anywhere between September and 1st of Jan 2027. So that's our range that we're looking at. So this green section here is our bottom range. So potentially we've got a C wave complete. We've got 5 waves within this pattern. We could get a B wave now. Now, B wave would really stuff some people up, because they're thinking, oh, we're just going straight down. And, you know, Bitcoin never likes to do that. It always likes to do the opposite of what everyone thinks is happening. So right now we've got a lot of people calling 20K. So 20K is a long-term support down in this region. So, you know, if there's some sort of massive collapse, maybe MicroStrategy collapses, I don't think that's going to happen. But, you know, on the odd chance, stranger things have happened. You know, none of us went into the, you know, 2020, 2021 bull run thinking FTX was going to implode. So if that was to happen, or something that is that big institutional comes in and it implodes the market, then we could see that 20K. That's all I'm going to put that out as. I don't think that's happening. Excuse me. So we're almost at the 618. So we might get one more drop and then we go into this B wave, or we could continue straight down. Hang on, as I die. So that is kind of, you know, where we're at the moment. But hang on, I'm going to disappear for 2 seconds and get a glass of water. This is the beauty of live. All right, that's the beauty of being live, that if I die, it's like I literally had to run to my kitchen to get a glass of water. So, okay, going back to BTC. So going into this B wave, so it could be quite contained and only get to about 73. 87 is the next pivot after that. 103 is a major one. So ideally, we'd like it to get to 103, because that would really take out all of the bears. The whole narrative would change again, and then we go straight back down and we finish the year out with whatever implodes and takes us down at that point. So whatever new narrative makes BTC drop like it did from this period to here, so which, you know, in 3 months we lost 50% of the, you know, liquidity and everything in BTC. So that might happen. So when we go back, so we've had a retrace here to the 786, we got to the 618 here, and then we're in this new region here where we're at the 618. So this is why, you know, at this point, 618 is a golden zone. We've got the 50 SMA. Strong possibility for a bounce here. We're overdue a bounce. We've had so many red candles. Doesn't mean we can't have more, but ideally, we'd like to see a bounce. When we go down to lower time frame, we're starting to see a momentum change. We're also starting to see that on this monthly chart. So we can see the stock RSI is at the bottom and is just about to cross over. So that's a really strong sign we've got a bounce incoming. So let's drop it down to the weekly. And we have got some slowing candles. We've got a lot of sell volume in this region here, lots and lots of sell volume, but we didn't really have a massive decline. So when we have a look at, we've got all these massive big candles, we don't have the sell volume. So that means that there's, the sellers won in that respect because it's still a red volume candle or volume bar. But what was happening is there's a lot of buys coming into this region, as we can see on the change on the MACD. So when we've got a lot of volume coming in on our indicator down here, that just means when we look at this candle here and we're going, okay, we've got a spinning top, it's an indecision candle, and we've got a lot of volume, it's red, but the market hasn't moved a huge amount, which really means that there's a lot of indecision. So lots of buyers coming in, lots of sellers. When the week closed, the sellers had won, but all of the indicators are changing at the moment. So whether we've got a little bit more red just to complete one more wave down, hit that 618, and then we're off and running. But on the weekly, we're sitting on the 200 MA. We've had one touch. We might get a second before we take off for a B wave. So I really do feel that we're about to change momentum, whether that's short term, like a couple of weeks. Then, I think when we're watching the war of what's happening in Iran and around those sort of Middle Eastern areas, there's a lot of discord as to what Trump has done at the moment. And, European nations and that sort of thing will probably step in and this will calm down for now. Doesn't mean it won't come back later. So that's potentially where we get to the top of this B, where we're looking at the external aspects of what's going on. So when we're looking at a chart, we can always see sort of, okay, when we're getting to these regions, what's going to happen to cause this momentum to change? Like, is it, collapse of some sort of company within the industry, death of some sort of big player in the industry, somebody going to jail, all different aspects take us in different directions on these charts. And it's kind of like we never know what's going to happen, but we do know that something big will happen. So at the moment, we haven't reached that 4-year cycle end. We might just, it might just be the painful end where we literally just trend sideways forever, 6 months. Stranger things have happened. So when you go back, into this region here, we topped at about 13, I think it was. And then this is 24th of June, 2019. Before we got to the bottom, it was 9 months. 9 or 10 months. So from June right through to March 2020, where we got that bottom with COVID. So, we got some bounces during that time, but it was, if you go back through and you search some of the tweets and stuff, it's hilarious how angry people were. So if you think people are angry and grumpy on X at the moment, go back a couple of years, because that always happens. You can always tell the sentiment and where we are in the market by how angry people are. So at the moment, they're not angry enough. So we're not at the bottom. So that will happen when we get a bounce, and then we wipe out some of the bears, and then it goes back down because they got liquidated and they're out of their positions. So that's kind of where I think we're at longer term, being as we've got a weekly close, we've got a monthly close, and we've got some uncertainty in the Middle East. When we start to see some momentum change on that, we'll start to see momentum change in the markets. Now, it's going to be really interesting when the markets open tomorrow, and we see kind of where that's going, and traditional markets and that sort of thing. So that's going to have some slide-on effects for crypto as well. So if they open well and they open green, which I don't think they probably will, then that'll flow across. If not, we'll see that 618 hit before we move ahead. So that's kind of where we're at. So if I take you to this Ethereum chart and we have a look at where we've got the 9 and 21 cross on the monthly, we had our first cross here. Obviously, Ethereum's a lot younger than what BTC is. Came into being around 2016. So around December 2018, we had a cross, and that was our literal bottom on Ethereum, and then we continued up. So our next cross down was in August 22, and our literal bottom was just before that in June 22. So when we're getting these crosses at this point, this is potentially our literal bottom for what's been happening. So we had bottom here and we had a cross. So, and then we continue going up. And now we've got a cross here, and we've hit support and the 100 SMA. So we're also on the monthly starting to cross up on the stock RSI. Predominantly when that happens on Ethereum, we get some momentum happening. So all my indicators and all my charts are going off on the moment. At the moment for Ethereum is a strong buy. Normally has one more wave down when those signals go off, and then it's off and running. So that could be happening as well. But I do think we've got maybe one more small wave down before we get that momentum heading in the right direction. Now, if we jump quickly into some alts, there's a few people that have told me that we haven't had an alt season. In fact, there's been lots of chatter on X and Threads today about what happened to our alt season. So let's have a look at all the different coins that potentially we had alt season. So if we go way back, so I'm going to bring this up to a monthly. Obviously some of these went sideways forever, and a lot of people missed when they absolutely took off. So if we go back, so the FTX bottom was the 11th of November 2022, and alts kind of still ground down for about 6 months later until they found their technical bottom, and then they took off. So if we're looking at ZEC, 5,000, nearly 6,000%. If that's not alt season, I don't know what is. So this is Shiba Inu. This is one that I put up on Twitter. So we can see that around the time of FTX, we're kind of around here. It's still, as a lot of alts did, they ground down, they finished their last wave off, and then they took off. So this one's made 739%. It had a second wave up before it's come back down, and it's on its technical bottom. So, 209%. So all up, nearly 1,000% for Shiba Inu. Now, when we're looking at Bonk, so, when we've got September 25th, 2023, so a year after, so it came in fairly sideways into the market. And then all of a sudden it did 24,000%. So if that's not an alt season, I don't know what is. So I've just been told everything goes up in alt season. It's like, you're thinking of a market that hasn't evolved. So when we're looking at a market, when we're looking at wild west days, so when we're looking at 2017, 2018, and then we're looking at 2020, 2021, the entire market went up like it was a different market. We've had institutions come in, we've had regulations come in, we've had a lot of KYC come in, we've got micro laws, we've got what. And that means the market evolves. It means it's not the same. It doesn't mean that Binance can pump every coin all at one time. It doesn't mean that Tether can print unlimited money at any time they want to. It means that, that needs to be regulated. It needs to have, backing. So Tether need to go, okay, this exchange needs to buy Tether from us or loan Tether from us at, a percentage that they loan. And we will print $1 billion in Tether, and then it'll get sent to X, Y, and Z exchange. But it's not just an unregulated thing like it used to be. Trump's given out a stimulus, and all of a sudden Tether's going to print $10 billion in Tether. Can't happen like that anymore. So there's just too many rules and laws and big businesses attached to it now that if all of a sudden the market spike like that and BlackRock, JP Morgan, let's say Jane Street are all short, they're going to double down on that. They're going to sell something else and they're going to double down and continue to short Bitcoin because they've got the money to do that. So it's not going to be like a free-for-all where everything goes up at every given time. So this is where the skill comes into the market, where you've got to go, okay, I need to set some indicators on alts that are getting liquidity, alts that are getting more trading volume. When those sort of indicators start to shift, you need to start looking at different things, not just going, we didn't get an alt season, everything didn't go up at once. No, it went up at different times when the money flowed, because CZ went to jail for that. There's been all different players in the market that have spent time in jail or had a slap on the wrist and had, billions and billions of dollars in fines. So not something they ideally want to do. So there becomes a lot of structure as to how everything flows. But, saying in general, we haven't had an alt season because everything didn't go up at once is just it's subjective to thinking about, like, every time you've watched an insurance ad or a investment ad where they go, past results are not necessarily reflective of future profits. So that's what's happening now, and we can't go into the market thinking this is always going to be 2017 or 2021, because the market has changed and it continues to change and evolve every day as new things happen. So we just need to take all of that data, all of that information, and go, where does that leave us towards the end of the year? Where are we having a bounce? Where are we having a pullback? And what are the potentials of making profit at this point in the market? So then how about dominance? Hang on, how do I put this? I think I can put this on. There we go. How about dominance? BTC dominance stayed high and there was never rotation into alts. So, well, if we go back, alts are a fairly new sort of thing. When you're thinking about there's not a rotation into alts, in this alt season, you think about it, we've got Pump Fund, we've had, Solana meme coins, we've had, the most tokens we've ever seen ever. Like, millions of tokens. There's not enough liquidity to fill every single one of those. Like, literally, the more tokens. So if we go back to 2017, we probably had a total of like 300, 400 tokens and coins. Move into 2021, we've got a couple of thousand. Move into now, we've got millions, because you can just make a new one every time somebody mentions something stupid on TV. I'm just going to make a token, or, you know, I'm just going to pump and dump something. They have no intrinsic value. And that's what this market is recalibrating as. It's like, you know, unless you sold at these levels, because I'm seeing people say that, you know, I bought RSR at, you know, in 2017 or 2018, and it was my retirement and I was going to settle on that. But all of a sudden, it's back at the same price as it was in 2017 because they didn't sell, they didn't take any profit. And it's a new market. It's not an established market. Bitcoin is established for 17 years, but altcoins are, you know, coming into the market. They've got teams that probably haven't even run a business before. They've got advisors that are coming in from traditional finance or their industry sector that don't know anything about crypto. And they're putting that all together, smushing it in, hiring a marketing person, hiring somebody to do their ex posts. And, you know, they need to pay bills, they need to pay revenue, they need to pay wages, that sort of stuff. And then all of a sudden, you know, bonk gets to 24,000%. It's like the team comes in, they go, that's enough profit. That's going to sustain us for, you know, X amount of years. We can do this, this, and this, and we can make 10 more thousand coins or tokens. So that's kind of what happens at the moment. So when we're looking at it, we need to look in, you know, sort of containers. 2017, we had this container where we had, you know, Litecoin, BCH, XRP, like these coins that structurally did something, that, you know, structurally could take on, you know, the real world and change things. And then in, you know, 2020, 2021, we had a lot more come in. And then, you know, a lot of new technologies that changed up, like with Luna, which eventually imploded, or, you know, Link, or we've got, what else is like fancy, you know, Dot at that point, Polkadot, and those sort of coins. They were all hyped up, and then the teams slowly eroded and disappeared, and then the market changed. And then we got pump fun, we got speculation, we got, you know, just this gambling attitude on this, and that needs to change. So this is the flush, and it's probably going to be painful. So far it has been. So, and that's going to continue until it's flushed out, what we saw with FTX, and we start fresh. And then hopefully there, you know, we've learned a little bit more. We can bring in some stuff that actually does things. You know, there's a lot of talk with real world assets at the moment and tokenization. So hopefully, you know, we start moving into something that actually does something. So yeah, end of rant. But I could go on forever, because this is an industry that I've been in since the very, very beginning, and I've seen it evolve the whole way. I've seen people pivot and change and, you know, just lose themselves in this, in the gambling and in the greed and in the hype of what happens. So yeah, so if we go into this, bit more knowledge, a bit more sort of structure to what we're doing, and I'm going to put out a lot more of my quick, like 90-second videos, just to let you guys kind of, you know how to do that, like what to look for on coin market cap when we're looking at liquidity, when we're looking at, you know, what sort of is getting hyped up at the moment. So what it means for community, where, how much the community is behind a project, because that matters. If the community is not behind the project, it eventually just dies. So we need all of that stuff to happen. So that's kind of where we're at the moment. So here's another one. This is Say. So it went 1700%. So, but you can see we're at technical bottoms, where we're on like a double bottom at the moment on a lot of these. They may go lower, but this is a monthly chart. And when monthly charts start to get like this momentum happening, where we're so low on these indicators, and this is just like flat line. So this either means it dies or this starts to move. So if some liquidity starts to come into Say, this would be a strong buy for me. So I've got some indicators on this, just watching these at the moment, to see if they actually do start to get some momentum, because not all of these coins and tokens survive every cycle. A lot of these just disappear into the ether, or the team stops working and then they get delisted from exchanges, they get delisted from CoinMarketCap, because they just slowly sort of disappear. They ghost you guys, literally. So think of like trading crypto as a relationship. Like, don't marry your coin unless you know it is like the be all and end all. So you're not going to go out there, because the majority of the people watching this are men. So think of your dream girl, and that's the girl that you want to marry. She has, whatever, she's beautiful, she's intelligent, she's fit, she's healthy, she's whatever you want in a woman. Like, think of that as the coin that you're just about to buy. Like, what does it do? What can it provide? Is it going to be there long term? Is it going to cook me dinner? Is it going to, how many times is it going to give me money? So am I able to take some profits as this moves? Or am I going in not sort of understanding what this gives me, and am I going to get trapped here? Am I going to get stuck in something that I don't want to be in? And that's when you're not selling. So if you're in these trades, and I wouldn't say anything much except for Bitcoin and Ethereum, maybe Solana, or even there we've had such a huge pullback on that one. So if you're just looking at Bitcoin, Ethereum, and the major maybe top 10, and we go, okay, we can trust that they're going to do what they say, because they've got enough backing in all of this moving forward. But when we've got something like Hype here, where we got to the point where we're at $55 or $58 or whatever it was, and Arthur Hayes decided he needed a new Ferrari, so he sold his bags because he was a seed investor. So we had that with Asta, where a lot of the seed investors go, okay, I've got 10 times profit. That was my cap. And then all the retail are starting to get excited because it's getting profitable. And then all of a sudden you get dumped on. And then it goes down to like close to nothing. And you're left holding these really heavy bags. So you need to start to learn to put stop losses in place, protect the capital, never trade with money that you can't afford to lose, because the trading bag should be, something that obviously you want it to do something, you want it to go somewhere, you want it to make money for you, but it can't be attached to an everyday item. It can't be attached to, I need to pay the mortgage and I've just lost 50% of my money. It needs to be, this is maybe 10 months down the track or a year down the track, I want to buy a new car, or I want to go on a nice holiday, or I want to put like one of the guys that was in my group a few years ago, he like bought his wife a new kitchen, he bought her a new car, all of these sort of things as he hit the milestones of trading. So keep that in mind while you're doing everything. Like, the mindset is what matters. And capital protection is going to keep you in the game. It's not only going to keep you profitable. And at the moment, when there's little profits, take little profits. Don't think, oh my God, there might be more tomorrow. If you've got 5% today, or you've got 10% today, take it. Take it before somebody else does, because we don't know if we've hit the bottom yet. And we want to be making money. We want you guys to be profitable. We want the market to, move in your favor. And moving in your favor doesn't mean that you're going to make money every day. It just means that you make the money when the money's there, and you take it. You take the money. So, a good strategy as well, while I'm on my rant, is at the end of every month, if you've made, say you've made $2,000 profit, small amount, but that's, it could be larger, it could be smaller. But whatever profit you make, you take 10% of that off the table, and you take it and you put it in either another wallet, or you take it and you cash it out. So that's real. You've made real money. And when you start to get into that mindset where you're feeling like you're making profit and it's coming in, it's cashing in, that's when that will kick in and you'll start making more, because it's all mindset. And when you're focusing on negative, you're going to get negative. And when you focus on positive, especially when you are taking small profits every now and then, structure it so it's in your favor. If you have a bad month, don't beat yourself up. Learn your lessons, learn what you did wrong, and, keep moving on. Now, I've got right in front of me, which it's actually my mouse sits on it, but this is a journal that hang on, I'm going to bring this up so you can see the full page. Okay, so this is a journal. So Be Like Lisa trading journal, but it has like tips and tricks and just pages and pages and pages of, you can write every day in there, like how your trades went, what you did wrong. It'll keep you on track. Like, this is your, your month at a glance. And it'll just keep you going, like, and keep you positive. It's got daily pages where it's telling you how to help you trade on a daily basis, on a monthly basis, like what to do, what to mindset to keep you in and to keep you positive. So I hope that helps. So there's not really a lot I can say about alts at the moment. I still think we've got potentially one wave down. I do think we're very, very close to quite a substantial bounce coming in over the next week or two. But we just need to stay positive in the meantime so we don't miss that. And, even if we do miss the ultimate bottom, that's okay. That's okay. There's always another trade. So we keep going. Hang on, can't see that. What do I think? Yeah, that's what I was saying at the beginning. If we go back to if you go back and watch the very beginning, I talk about there's a volume wick on BTC that basically says, there was a lot of sellers, a lot of buyers, and it was kind of, hang on, let me see if I can go back to that chart. Lots of sellers, lots of buyers, and the sellers won, but we ended up with a candle that wasn't the ugliest candle that we had. So we've got, a lot of sell pressure, but we got a spinning top. Hang on, that was weekly. On the weekly. So yeah, so we got a spinning top here. We didn't break the low. We didn't, break a high, but we had a lot of volume coming through, which is usually a sign that we're getting a momentum shift where, we're sort of going, okay, the buyers are really coming in, but the sellers are like, oh no, I'm still in a short. I'm going to just keep selling down. So it is a sign that we're at a point of exhaustion. We didn't get a great candle on that close because it's a spinning top, but that's just a sign of indecision. We now need to wait for the next few days on the daily to see where we're headed. But I do think we're very close to the bottom. So, and we're going to see that momentum change. We're seeing that on the indicators at the moment. So MACD is already starting to change. Stock RSI has crossed over, and it's looking good. So I think we're almost there. So thank you for bearing with me, guys, and listening to my rant. I hope some of that information was helpful and important. Let me know, especially let me know below, because at the moment I'm recording a whole heap of videos to put up on X just for educational purposes while it's so quiet. And, anything that can help you at the moment, let me know, and I'll try and get it recorded out there for you. So thank you again for watching. I'll try and remember to keep posting the YouTube link until I've worked out how to properly reconnect the API. So to StreamYard, because it's just me at the moment. So yeah. All right. Thank you. I will catch you all next week.